I welcome all of you on this platform of YourPedia Education, and this video is about my interaction with Professor Sudhir Jain in his capacity as Director of prestigious IIT Gandhinagar. Presently, Professor Jain is serving as Vice Chancellor of very prestigious Banaras Hindu University. He is a very visionary leader. During the interaction, I asked him why IIT Gandhinagar is different, and let me tell you, he is the founding director of this great institute, which was established in 2008. He served there as a third term as director in that institute. So we could visit IIT Gandhinagar, entire team of YourPedia. We could do academic profiling of that institute. We could find a different culture in this institute, something which is very relevant for all of you who are going to get admission now in this institute is that IIT Gandhinagar treats its students as adult and put the sense of responsibilities, and that kind of maturity which they should have as professional in them during the course. Lot of money is spent on the students. I give you a small example, like IIT Gandhinagar spends almost 9 to 10 lakh rupees on PhD scholars if they want to go abroad and do their research in the prestigious labs in foreign countries. So that entire money is paid by IIT Gandhinagar. Not only that, during COVID lockdown, lot of money was spent by IIT Gandhinagar to provide the laptops and all to the students of IIT Gandhinagar and provided all the sort of help to the students. So how IIT Gandhinagar is different, why you should study in IIT Gandhinagar, why you should choose this center of excellence among new generation IITs. Please listen to this entire interaction, and I am very sure you will enjoy this interaction. Sitting in presence of Professor Jain itself is so full of energy, and energetic vibes flow from this personality. So listen to him, what he is to tell all of us here and why we should join IIT Gandhinagar. So let's go and have interaction with Professor Jain. Good morning, Professor Jain. And sir, I am thankful to you. This is my second interaction with you, sir. First interaction I had during lockdown time on Zoom, and sir, I am really thankful to you. Gave me opportunity to interact with you and visit this campus. So this is my third day, sir, in the campus of IIT Gandhinagar. It's a beautiful campus, and I could see many of the things personally. So my today's interaction, sir, will be based upon that facts which I have observed and some interaction points which I have thought of asking you today. That is based upon the actual observation which I had, sir. So, Professor Jain, I have divided my entire interaction in a couple of heads. So these heads are, I'll be interacting with you in your capacity as academic leader. Now this is the third time you are serving IIT Gandhinagar as director. You were the founding director also. So that is one of the rare example which I see. Second will be, sir, about the institute. IIT Gandhinagar among the new IITs has made a different kind of name, and which we see it also, and we talk about something unique features of that. I'll be talking about that, sir. And third, my interaction point will be related to IITs as institute. Where do we stand in global competition in education? And my fourth point will be a little more holistic, sir. That will be related to the socio-economic development of India and what role these institutes play. And last will be your advice and your guidelines for many budding teachers, academicians, and students. So this is how I have divided. Great. So I go with my first, sir. I want to go for first head, that is you as academic leader. Though everyone knows you, sir, but I want a very brief introduction from your side, your journey till IIT Gandhinagar.
See, I was a basic teacher.
Okay.
Right. So I started with the aspiration of being a good teacher, to make a difference to the lives of the students, to teach well, to learn my subject well, and to contribute to the community, to the society with the knowledge that I have of my subject, which was earthquake safety, earthquake engineering. So that is how I started my journey as a teacher. And then while you are a teacher, once in a while you are called upon to do some committee work, some administrative work, some responsibility. And that is when my natural DNA was to do that job well, to learn that job. We are not taught everything in school or college. We have to keep learning all our lives. So from time to time, whenever at IIT Kanpur I was asked to do any responsibility, my effort was, can I do it better? Can I do it differently? Can I do it to maximize the impact on the concerned parties? So that is how I got introduced to doing some administrative responsibilities, but I was not trained as an administrator. Right? And I was in my comfort zone doing earthquake safety work, earthquake engineering work, teaching students, teaching professionals, writing codes for India, giving advice to anybody who wanted advice on earthquake safety, and that is what my life was all about. I had not anticipated that I will be known as an academic leader, as a university head or a IIT head. And then an opportunity came where they were setting up 8 new IITs, and I was persuaded that I should try my hands at it. I had already been introduced to Gujarat because of the earthquake in 2001. I used to come to Gujarat quite often, meet people here, and I realized that Gujarat has a very interesting ecosystem which is very suitable for building a new institution. So I appeared for interview and I said, if I'm given an opportunity to be a director of IIT Gandhinagar, I'm happy to accept it. Otherwise, I'm happy with my earthquake engineering. They sent me to Gandhinagar, they gave me the opportunity. I came to IIT Gandhinagar, not knowing how well I will do. But I was very clear about my core principles. On those, I would not compromise, was my thought process. And I did not know whether those core principles that will enable me to stay here or I will be asked to depart here, or whether I will get second term or anything like that. Fortunately, that has worked out well. People tell me that IIT Kanpur has done reasonably well. That is how I was given second term, and then that is how I was given a third term. So that is how I have got. One thing that I have been a bit careful about is that when I came from Kanpur IIT to Gandhinagar IIT, I was clear that I was leaving my role as an earthquake engineering expert and trying to build a university, trying to build a college. And it appeared unfair to the community at IIT Gandhinagar if I were to keep my primary connection with earthquake safety work. So I said to myself that my primary work has to be IIT Gandhinagar. And my role as a earthquake engineering expert has to become very secondary. Otherwise, it is like driving a car, accelerating it, but your handbrakes are on. Because then I would be taking away a significant amount of time on earthquake engineering. That I felt would be unfair to the people whom I am mobilizing to build a great university here. So that is one thing that I think was different, because I felt that was very important. And I think we have done reasonably well. I feel happy about it.
Okay. Professor Jain, when we see development of such centers of excellence, for that matter, any institute in India, specific if I say, these development and growth becomes personality based largely. I mean, we find many institutes where a very good academic leader is sitting and the institute grooms well, and vice versa. This is a very much academic, this personality based phenomena. Now, my question to you, sir, is like there's a big challenge of academic leadership and getting crisis of leadership actually. So, how do we ensure that India as a large country, so many institutes coming up every year, IITs, IIMs, NITs, and so on, ISCs and all. How do we ensure a good flow of such academic leaders? And do we have some kind of consciousness at the part of people like you to develop that second rank leadership so that they can take the challenge in the future?
You see, this is where I think we can do much better than what we have done as a country, where we who are in the position of leadership can empower younger people much more than we normally do.
Yes.
A lot of this happens if we are secure, if we are comfortable, if we don't mind being challenged. If my younger colleague is showing himself or herself to be better than me in certain tasks, I should not get insecure about it. I should be proud of it. I should feel that they are younger to me and they are doing better, just as my father was very proud of I doing better than he did. I should be proud of my younger colleagues doing better than me. I think that's how I was groomed at IIT Kanpur. I had very good mentors at IIT Kanpur, very good seniors at IIT Kanpur, who let me learn by making my own mistakes. I think at IIT Gandhinagar we have made very conscious effort to build leadership very early in the faculty and students and staff. If you see the student leadership quality, if you see the staff leadership quality, and the faculty building, it is very, very high quality. And that is because we have set very broad boundary lines, which we will ensure you don't go beyond those. But within those boundary lines, you can operate and you can make mistakes and you can learn by making mistakes. And as a result, younger people pick up very quickly. This is a generational issue, not India specific issue. That older generations have always underestimated younger generations. But the fact is that world civilization is moved because younger generations are always smarter than the older generation. And that is something that we need to keep in view. That today's 35-year-old assistant professor is smarter than 35-year-old people on an average of my vintage. Okay, so with every generation, the people become better and we need to trust our younger people more. If we do that, I think leadership will start to emerge much stronger than what it is today.
So that means you have to empower them, delegate them more activities and
You have
powers.
to delegate. Delegate doesn't mean that you abdicate.
Okay. Yes.
You cannot say, all right, what can I do? My dean of student has done this. I cannot help it. Right? Your dean of student has to be given a clear vision of what you are looking for. What is the general framework within which the student affairs have to be dealt with. And as long as that framework is not being compromised, give enough space to the dean of student affairs to operate and do well.
Okay. Professor Jain, now I come to the second vertical of my interaction, and that is institute. This is my third day in the campus. I have visited different places, sir. I have talked to professors, I have talked to the staff, I have talked to even construction workers who are working in your campus and the students. I have gone to hostels, I have gone to the labs. One word I heard everywhere when I asked how do you think Gandhinagar is different? They said culture is different. We have set a different culture here which is different from other IITs. There are so many people in IIT Gandhinagar who are maybe graduate and postgraduate from other IITs. They have the ideas, fair good idea of other IITs. So they mentioned this word culture. I want to ask from you, sir, what is the meaning of that?
So I am the wrong person to explain what is culture. Somebody from humanities and social science should define what is a culture.
Okay.
But to me, culture is what is the default manner in which community interacts with each other. If there is no pressure, if nobody is watching you, if there is no fear, how do you interact with each other? How do you react to each other? Is there a default that is commonly shared, that is commonly accepted, student to student, female students, male students, undergraduate students, postgraduate students, junior students, senior students, right? Students doing well economically and students coming from financially weak background, students coming from English background, students coming from Telugu or Hindi medium background. So, how do they all interact with each other? How do the students interact with teachers? How do the teachers interact with the students? What is their default that is generally shared, commonly shared? How does the staff deal with the students and vice versa? How does the staff and teacher relationship with them? To me, all of that, and this is not just internal community, it is external community. Do the vendors complain that the payments are delayed? Does the vendor have to chase the payment? Does the visitor who comes to the guest house, does he feel welcomed? Does the car driver who is bringing somebody from the airport, does he show good enthusiasm for the institute? All of that is part of the culture. This is one aspect. Second aspect is how do we deal with difficult situations? Right? How do we deal with a student who is not doing well? Not doing well academically, not doing well emotionally, not doing well physically, whatever it is. What is our default way to deal with that? Is it that one teacher will be very harsh and one teacher will be very soft? Or there is a predictability that a student body knows that if we are in financial hardship situation, the institute can be approached to seek financial help. If that is there, then a culture is needed. But does the student body also know that we are not supposed to abuse that provision? That you ask for financial aid when you are coming from a well-off family. To me, all of that is part of a culture that we have tried to build. The idea here is that good educational experience is not only about teaching civil engineering or mechanical. It is a much bigger aspiration. And that aspiration is, what is the education to us an idea? To us, the education is having three key components. One is build in the student an aspiration to do something good for the community, the society, the country. They should have some aspiration. Second, they should have motivation to achieve that. Aspiration is one thing. But if you don't have motivation. And third is capability to achieve that. If you have the aspiration and the motivation, but you don't have the capability. Now when we teach good civil engineering, or when we teach them how to write well, we are adding capability, capacity. But before that, you have to also build their aspiration and motivation. Those things cannot be built without building a good culture. So you can teach data science, you can teach probability theory, you can teach Shakespeare, perhaps without building that culture. But the data science to be used for good of the humanity, good of the community, and make you live your life in a worthy manner, that requires a ecosystem where you are inspiring each other, where you are inspired by each other. That inspiration should not be something that, okay, some big person is coming and giving a lecture and you get inspired. It doesn't work like that. So that is what we have tried to do. And to my mind, that's what academic institutions should be.
So that what I understood, sir, is like caring for all the stakeholders, whosoever is within the campus of IIT Gandhinagar and maybe outreach also, caring for them, but at the same time giving a strong message that there is no compromise with the quality, with the performance, with the discipline. So there should not be like that. Now I come to second part of institute, Professor Jain, and that is the most difficult thing for chair or the position at which you are sitting, and that is to get right people for the institute. So whenever I interacted with the professors, they had their own anecdote stories to tell me that how you could outreach to them, how could you hire them in different places, different conferences. My question to you is very straight, sir. Is it sustainable to hire people through outreach and to hire such people on a large scale basis? When this institute grows, we will be requiring so many people in future. So how is it sustainable in that particular situation?
I would say it was difficult initially.
Okay.
When I joined here in 2009, I encountered a situation where there was a skepticism about second generation IITs. And my own friends and well-wishers were of the belief that if a young person of high caliber can get a job in a first generation IIT, why will he join? Second. You don't have a campus, you don't have laboratories,
Yes.
you don't have a reputation, you
Yes.
don't have anything.
Yes.
And I differed. I said, look, it is true that I don't have the body of an adult. So the first generation IITs were like 50 years old. They had the laboratories, they had the campus, they had the prestige, reputation, quality faculty, quality students already. And for a new faculty member, it is much easier to slide into an older IIT at that time than it would be for me to provide. But then I said there is something that IIT Kanpur has, which they don't have, which is the youth, the childlike situation where the body is very flexible. where we can do anything. A 50-year-old man cannot bend the body the way a 1-year-old child can. And therefore, initially my effort was much, much more critical, where I had to reach out to individuals who had the right type of values to show them what is it possible that you can do at IIT. And some of them agreed with my proposition and joined us, some of them did not. Once we had a seed group of faculty and we started to build a culture, it became easier. Now the new faculty of high caliber are coming to us, not necessarily because I personally am reaching out to them, but because of these 100 plus very high quality faculty that I have today, who are either reaching out to them or the new candidates are seeing these 100 people and they are saying, wow, if this person can be at IIT Gandhinagar, who can be publishing in such a good journal, who could have such a good quality of life. Now we have a campus, now we have beautiful housing, we have very nice offices, we have very nice laboratories, we have very stress-free student-teacher relationship, very stress-free staff-faculty relationship. So if they now today see that the quality of life here is better, their careers are going to progress much better. Today the shoe is on the other foot, as they say.
Yes, yes.
In good old days, you said, in 2009, you said, if you go to first generation IT, they will have an office, while in IIT Gandhinagar, they may not be even an office.
Okay.
Today I am saying we are giving you better office.
Yes, that is what I am saying.
Or better apartment.
Larger size also.
A larger size also. And we are giving you better coffee, for example. Or cleaner toilets. Right? So today I would say the quality of life as well as the quality of opportunities we are able to provide is significantly better than even the first generation IT. So today it is no longer that challenge. But initially there was a challenge. And that required certain personal effort to reach out to people, to seek advice and guidance, how I can make a better impact on recruitment. And I must say that that is something that we have not only done for the academic departments, we have also done it for administrative departments, for technical departments, so even the clerks, the accounts people, the staff.
Yes.
For us, that is very important to maintain very high standards of recruitment at all levels, and that's what we have done.
Now, Professor Jain, as far as the teachers are concerned, they were lucky to directly come in your contact or had discussion with you. But when I come to student community, because student community is very, very important. In fact, they are the first for IIT Gandhinagar. So when we talk about student community, there is this myth of old IIT versus new IIT. Whether it is graduation level or it is master's level, student has a very pertinent question that if I am getting old IIT, why should I go to new IIT? New IITs have maybe very capable professors from top universities of the world, but they have lack experience. And you represent old IIT, sir. You represent new IIT also. So how to resolve this myth and why a student should prefer IIT Gandhinagar? Very straight to you, sir.
See, there is one little exercise that I do every year with the first year MTech students.
Yes.
When they come on day one, I address them and their parents. And I tell them very frankly that you are all very unhappy today because you solved a few problems wrong. You got a low rank and you ended up at IIT. And you are all thinking that if you had solved those problems right, you could have been in first generation IIT. And they agree. Sometimes I ask them to raise hands, how many of you agree with this statement? And
They agree.
then I give them a challenge. That in 6 weeks' time, you will be very grateful to fate that you solved those problems wrong. Because of which you ended up at IIT.
Yes.
Because the learning opportunity that I am going to give, the growth opportunity that I am going to give, is unprecedented. I must say that if you talk to our BTech students today, chances are that if you ask that question to them as an outsider, without any faculty, without any administrator being there, and ask them, do you feel today that you are lucky to be at IIT Gandhinagar by solving some problems wrong and not going to first generation IIT? Chances are that they will say, yes, we are very lucky that we ended up here. Right? So, I would say between rank 1000 and 2000, to me it does not matter that much. Whether I am getting a student of 1000 rank or 2000 rank, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the student who is coming to me must get such a high quality of educational experience that 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, he or she will go far ahead than his counterparts elsewhere. That we are very confident that we are preparing our students well, giving them very good educational experience and giving them very good opportunities. I mean, just to give a sense to you, 40% of the undergraduates of IIT Kanpur travel overseas, outside India, during once, at least, sometimes twice, once in a while even 3 times, to do summer research in universities outside. How many, can any IIT claim that? Now, the result of that is that the students are much more global in their outlook. They are able to get admissions in top universities in the world anywhere. They are able to get jobs in top corporates, top companies anywhere. But we are not producing our students for foreign countries. We are producing them for India. So 40% of our students, undergraduates, also do what we call as a explorer fellowship, where they explore India on 38,000 rupees for 42 days, where they travel the length and breadth of India in hot summer, traveling ordinary train, not air conditioned train, living on dharmshalas, living on railway platforms, eating cheap food, so that they get grounded on India's realities and they gain confidence that they can live and survive without the luxuries of air travel, without the luxuries of expensive hotels, and they can fend for themselves. Now, these kind of experiences, I don't know how many institutions in the country ever provide to their students. So, I would say the kind of educational experience we provide to our students, whether it is learning about computer programming or mathematics, or learning about society, learning about standing on your own feet, being responsible for your actions, I think another experience is very, very superior. And we are very satisfied with the quality of alumni that are emerging out of it. The success of our alumni, the way they are succeeding in whatever subject they are doing, whatever field they are doing, I think is very, very satisfying.
Professor Jain, I was going through a couple of magazines produced by IIT Gandhinagar in which there was mention of many fellowships, many scholarships, many internships by IIT Gandhinagar, and I could see that IIT Gandhinagar spends a lot of money on providing the scholarships to students. One of the example you mentioned was giving opportunity to go abroad. That is not only graduates, but I've seen that in masters and doctorates also. You also offer additional amount of scholarship, what is being provided by Ministry of HRD maybe. So you provide additional to that. How is it possible when a new IIT, maybe, I'm not very sure about that resource crunch or something, but for new IIT to share out so much additional funding for students, how it is possible?
So there are a couple of ways in which we do it. One is we are very particular about wastages.
Okay.
We are very particular that government money should not be wasted. Every rupee should be spent very carefully, and therefore our cost should be under control. So that is one thing we are very particular. It's a very important thing for us. The second thing that we are very particular about is that educational excellence cannot rely entirely on government funding. To us, that is a matter of faith. That's a matter of belief. And we have been able to show that IIT Gandhinagar is a very unique project, very unique experience of building a new institution, because of which many wealthy individuals have been giving us significant amount of donations.
Okay.
So, there are many wealthy individuals who would like IITs to do better, who would like institutions to do better, universities to do better, produce better graduates. If you are able to show to them that there is something very worthwhile happening, they are happy to be participating in that by contributing some money. So we have also raised a lot of money from our well-wishers. Our effort is that IIT Gandhinagar should be a project not only of its director, its faculty, its students, its staff, but it should be a community project. It should be owned by Anybody who wants to see India build a top university. We are happy to engage with them, we are happy to involve them, and we are happy to also receive their support. Now, support does not mean that somebody has to give only 1 crore rupees or 1 lakh rupees. We also receive 100 rupees donations, we also receive 1000 rupee donations, but we also receive 10 crore rupee donations. And if you use all of that money judiciously and avoid wastages, I think we are a lot of potential. That is how, today 35% of our PhD students, before they graduate from IIT Kanpur, they spend 1 semester outside India. We take care of their expenses. We give a lot of extra money to our faculty to travel for international meetings. We allow our student affairs office to give a lot of financial aid to financially weak students. During the pandemic, we gave maybe 100 students 40,000 rupees each in their bank account to buy laptops, because we thought that their educational experience will be superior if they have a laptop as compared to learning it on a cell phone. So, I think money is a secondary issue. The primary issue is, do you believe that money is important? For that, are you willing to maintain the hygiene of spending money well, judiciously, no pilferage, no corruption, no abuse, no wastages, and reach out to the people who might be interested in seeing a good experiment in education being built and say, look, please come and help us. We are shameless in asking donations.
Okay. Great. Professor Jain, I want to ask you questions now related to brain drain and reverse brain drain. I could meet many of the faculty members here. I could see that they were highly educated, they were very educated in the best universities of the globally, and they served there for a couple of years and then came back to Gandhinagar. And you are also sustaining them for a couple of years now. What is your view on first brain drain? I mean, people going abroad and getting very good education and seeing diversity of the cultures over there and coming back and serving the nation, which is reverse brain drain. I could see that example here. Do you think that can be made now convention, or it can be a normal situation in future?
Two things. One is, I don't believe that going abroad is necessary for good education.
Okay.
I believe that good education is available in India as well as outside.
Okay.
And one should get good education wherever one can comfortably get. So that is one point I do not. Second, I don't consider that somebody who is a PhD from MIT is necessarily superior to another PhD from less ranked university.
Okay.
I'm certainly not believing in that. I'm looking at the individual. And I'm saying, is this individual really having the qualities, the qualifications, the credentials that are suitable for our purpose? So we are really, in that sense, colorblind to whether this person has done his PhD from India or outside, lived in India, lived outside. We have people who are our star faculty who have never spent considerable time outside India.
Yes, yes.
So to us that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Now, coming back to the issue of brain drain or reverse brain drain, I would say talent management. I think this country has been very fortunate to build these IITs which could manage the talent, which could retain the talent, which had the culture and the ecosystem that a young person was not frustrated. If we can build more of that ecosystem, why would somebody want to live abroad in a different climatic condition, different food system, different language system? Our salaries are reasonable, our salaries are decent, we can live with dignity and honor in our own country. Why would somebody want to live abroad? The reason that happens is because our institutions and organizations are not giving enough attention to building a quality ecosystem, a quality environment where people can be stress-free, headache-free, do their work. If we do more of that, I think a lot more Indians of very high caliber would be working in India than working outside.
Okay. Professor Jain, in one of your interaction, you asked the question to the audience that can that day come when MIT will feel proud to hire PhD from IIT Gandhinagar? So what was that, sir? And what is your view on that?
So when I was growing up and I was young faculty at IIT Kanpur, we used to I started seeing Indians taking faculty positions in top institutions. So the first Indian to join Caltech, and Caltech is one of the top 5 ranked universities in the world.
Yes.
The first Indian to join Caltech as a faculty. It happened in 80s.
Okay.
Okay. So it is a matter of great pride to see an Indian now a faculty.
Becoming faculty.
Then over the years we started seeing Indians becoming presidents of American universities. Like we saw an Indian becoming director of National Science Foundation.
Yes.
And we took great pride that Indians were doing well at MIT, at Harvard, at Cambridge, and but if you look at their profiles, typically they are all undergraduates from India. And they have gone to Europe or America and done their PhD, work in that ecosystem, and taken the faculty position in MIT or Caltech and become higher and higher. I think there is a natural progression to the next level where our PhDs should be so high quality that they will become faculty at Caltech and MIT.
So is it possible?
I certainly think it is possible. I certainly think we should have that aspiration. We should work towards that. We should say to our faculty and students that you are second to none. We should invest on them also. We cannot give them third-rate research equipment and expect them to compete with the PhD students in universities where there is a first-rate equipment. So we have to invest also. But we have to also give them opportunities. And it is with that aspiration that very early we said any PhD student who can get an opportunity to spend a semester outside India, we will support it financially. Because if I am expecting my student doing PhD with me to be world class, let him at least experience what is the world outside.
Yes.
And I think that is an aspiration that Iit Gandhinagar certainly has, Iit Gandhinagar's faculty and students have, that our PhDs should be seen in my lifetime, as faculty at Caltech, MIT and Cambridge type institutions. That should be a very reasonable expectation that we should have. And once that starts to happen, we should see, we should hope, we should aspire, we should expect that our PhDs will be running the academia in some of the best universities.
Great. That's a great idea, Professor Jain. Now I come to my third vertical of interaction, and that is related to the position of IITs globally. This is a very, very relevant question also, and asked in many forums also, that why IITs are not in top 100 universities of the world in the rankings.
I would reverse that question. I would say why that question is being asked. Right? India has such a large number of institutions, out of which only 23 are IITs, out of which only 5 are first generation IITs that were set up in 50s and 60s. When you are saying why these 5 or 7, whatever, how you define it, are not in top 100, I think you are making a very important statement. And that statement is that we expect these 5 to be in top 100. But what about the other universities in the country who are even older than IITs, who are much bigger than IITs?
Yes.
Who are much more reputed than IITs when the IITs were created?
This question is never asked for them.
That question is never being asked.
Yes.
Why is that so? And I think the genesis of that is that IITs have been a very special institution on 2 accounts. And I believe that is the recipe of building any good university anywhere. One is tremendous autonomy that IITs were provided by IIT Act. IIT professors, faculty can decide how to teach, what to teach, how much to teach, how to evaluate, how to grade, how to declare results. IITs can decide what equipment to buy. IITs can decide promotions without worrying about whether there is ratio of one professor, 2 assistant professor. We are given flexible cadre where there can be more professors or there can be more assistant professors depending on our situation. So there is a lot of autonomy to IIT system, which is enabling them to do much more. The second thing that is very critical is the accountability and the integrity. Because if you give autonomy and if that autonomy is abused or misused, then instead of helping you, it can really harm you. So ITs have also maintained very high level of integrity and accountability in terms of not abusing that autonomy. To my mind, if you can do these two things in all the universities, you can really have hundreds of universities in India who will do well enough that you will say why these universities are not in top 100.
That's right.
Okay. Now then the next question, I think next part of this question is, all right, that will be so. Now that you have autonomy, you have flexibility, you have integrity, what can happen so that you become top 100? चलो वो छोड़ देते हैं. We forget other universities. To my mind, when I have a faculty colleague who is doing well as a dean and have given him certain range of activities, and if he is doing well, do I increase his autonomy or do I decrease his autonomy? I increase his autonomy. My contention is that now that IITs have shown so well over the years that we should even further increase the flexibility and autonomy. We cannot have IITs working with a constrained system and compete with other institutions across the world who are working in unconstrained system. So, to my mind, if IITs are given even more autonomy than what it is today, and given even more funding, of course, you would say IITs give a lot of funding compared to others. The answer is yes, it is a fact. But then to build a university, you need money. My favorite example is if you look at per student expenditure that is being incurred by some of the top universities in the world, and even if you scale it down by purchase power parity, still they are order of magnitude higher than what IIT spent. Recently in a seminar, I asked the audience to look at Princeton University's endowment. Divide by the number of students at Princeton. It's more than $3 million per student in the bank account. Now, if you use 5% of $3 million, you're talking about $150,000, which is 1 crore rupees. Now, 1 crore rupee per year per student, Princeton is able to take out of his endowment. I'm not talking about the tuition fee, which may be of the order of 30-40 lakh rupees a year. I'm not talking about research grants. I'm not talking about new donations. If you do purchase power parity and say, all right, the cost in India, the salaries in India are of the order of 1/5, maybe or 1/7 of those in the United States, your cost per student is still coming to be much, much higher than what you spend today. So, it is true that India is a financially constrained country. We don't have unlimited money. But if you have to aspire to be really top class, you need to also not only give autonomy, but also put more resources. And when you do that, the internal community of the IIT system also has to aspire for bigger things. Today, one of the challenges that we have in IIT system is that we are so comfortable in being best in the country. Right? We have to have a discomfort to even do better. So I think if we do that, there should be no reason why we can't be top.
Okay. Very well answered, Professor Jain. And my next question is related to overall technical institutes in India. Professor Jain, we think we have some really wrong here as far as education system is concerned. India is having lot of unemployment, and largely if we are to generate employment, we have to make people self-dependent, more employment opportunities to be created. They have to be vocationally trained, we need to enhance their skill. But when we come to curriculum part of the technical institutes, what we see is that there is more focus on theoretical part, very less focus on practical aspects. We do not get electricians, we do not get plumbers, we do not get skilled people who can self-employ themselves or start earning for themselves. So we do not become Atmanirbhar in that particular direction. Now you have seen the education system in Calitech also, and you've seen in IIT Kanpur, India also. My question to you is, sir, do we need to change that pattern of education system in technical institutes in India so that it becomes more practical based, vocational based, and skill based?
You see, my answer is a little bit more cynical, if I may, and that is, as long as you will keep thinking that your role as an academic institution is to teach electrical engineering, this problem will arise. Because now what you are doing is, you are saying, all right, in electrical engineering, I am changing this subject and bringing this new subject. Industry needs this subject. All right, so bring this subject. To me, this problem will be. You are not looking at the whole individual. You are not looking at the human being in front of you. My challenge today is that any well-rounded, well-educated, and by well-educated means not necessarily going to the top college. It doesn't mean top grades. But a reasonably well-rounded individual who can write well, who can speak well, who can conduct well, who can communicate well, who can negotiate well, should never be unemployed. We all are looking for people who can help doing things. And in doing things, your knowledge of the subject is only a very small part of it. If I'm looking for an accounts clerk in my office, how much accounts he knows is important. But that's only a small fraction of it. Does she have a discipline to sit on the table? Does she feel responsible for the accounts? Does she feel that she should be carefully looking at the document? Does she feel responsible that it has to be done in a timely manner? If there is a dispute, does she know how to deal with that dispute? Does she know how to reconcile this? To me, they all become even more important than her very specific knowledge of the account system. Account system she can learn. If she wants to do it well, by making mistakes, she can learn accounting. But today, if I have a student in a college of commerce or whatever subject, I'm focusing only on teaching accounts. I'm not giving them the discipline to do work, attitude to do work, values towards their work, values towards their colleagues. I'm not giving them the entire preparation. My contention is that if our colleges, whether they are engineering colleges, vocational colleges, electricians, ITIs, diploma colleges, engineering colleges, PhD programs, if we start to look at the individual as a holistic individual, complete individual, and work with them to improve the entire system of values, attitudes, life skills, together with the subject knowledge, I think this unemployment problem will be gone, because you will have employable people.
Professor Jain, when these IITs were created, the purpose was like whosoever will graduate from this, whether masters or graduation level, they will become employer. They will provide jobs to others. They will be so capable that they will have their own ventures and they will create the jobs. Today we see that there is a race among graduates, postgraduates for seeking jobs. Today we see that students of IITs, they look for a stable job, public sector jobs, government jobs. Instead of thinking of becoming employer, they think of becoming employee. So how this trend can be changed and how we can inculcate that entrepreneurial thing in their blood so that they tomorrow become entrepreneur, run the venture, give employment to a couple of hundreds or some people at least.
I would firstly disagree that IITs are not producing entrepreneurs. If you see some of the best corporates in the world today, they are being either founded or being run by IIT graduates. So I think IITs have produced a lot of graduates who have been entrepreneurs, who have provided not thousands but lakhs of jobs. So that is not an issue to my mind. What to me is a issue is how can our entire ecosystem produce more innovators and entrepreneurs. To me, that comes from attitude for problem solving. The reason somebody is setting up a company and that company is able to make money, and you are a good example of yourself, that you identified a need and and you solve that need, and you could monetize that service, right? How will that happen? That can happen naturally to some people. That can happen through the family background. That can happen because your uncles and aunts are problem solvers. But I think as a college, as a university, we also have a responsibility to give them an environment where they become problem solvers, to identify a problem and to solve it. Not all of those solutions will be monetized, not all of them will lead to entrepreneurship, but some of them will. Even if they don't lead to entrepreneurship, the fact that you are a problem solver, even if you work for a company, you will solve the problems there. You will be more effective, you will be more successful. I think that is where the autonomy to the institutions is very critical. If I am running my institute based on some letter, some circular that is being given to me, how to solve this problem, then I as a vice chancellor, as a director, am not solving problems myself. How do I expect my students to learn to solve problems? But if I am not told how to solve this problem, and if I start to solve that problem, and I engage my students and my faculty to solve that problem, they will learn to solve problems. So once in a while when there is a panel discussion, there is a question on this, I ask a question: how many of us as heads of the institution feel it our responsibility to solve the problems that can be solved within our jurisdiction, for which we don't need guidance from the government or UGC or anybody, right?
Yes, yes.
Your students are complaining the food is bad. Your students are complaining that your toilets are dirty. Your students are complaining that when they go to the account section, the accounts clerks don't talk nicely to them. These problems don't require solution from the external agencies. Those can be solved by us individually. Are we willing to solve those problems? In the process, we will be role models for our students. They will learn that problems can be solved. They will come forward, start to engage with us, and slowly they will emerge into problem solvers. To my mind, entrepreneurship can be taught. We teach entrepreneurship courses. We bring successful entrepreneurs who do teach courses. We have an incubation center. We give some support, funding, mentorship. We do all of that. But to me, all of that is second layer. The first layer is, do you create an environment where all of you, the teachers, the students, the faculty, the vice chancellor, the director, whatever, everybody, is of a mindset that if there are problems, we have to solve. If we do that, I think there will be more entrepreneurs.
So its entire ecosystem is to be evolved. Okay. Professor Jain, now I come to my last section of interaction, and that is related to overall ecosystem, overall socio-economic development of the nation. Sir, IITs are premium institutes and they have responsibility beyond the boundaries. So, can IITs go ahead and fulfill that responsibility in resolving some of the socio-economic problems which our country is facing presently? And in that, I would like to bring your attention to the new education policy, sir. We have new education policy, and government came out with it, and there are a lot of hopes from this new education policy, because there are certain points which are very, very relevant. Government is planning to increase the GDP ratio, GDP percentage of GDP to education, and make drastic changes compared to the previous new education policy. So, what is your take on the new education policy, sir, and what is the role IITs can play in that, and how that particular role can lead to resolving the socio-economic problems of especially unemployment and all in India?
So there are two aspects of education. One is national education policy. I would say national education policy has everything that I would have liked it to have.
Okay.
It also has endorsed what IIT Gandhinagar was doing since its inception.
Okay.
It talks about interdisciplinarity. Today, I have almost 14% of my PhD students who are working on their PhD thesis with a professor who is not in their own discipline. How much more interdisciplinary can an institution be? Right? So, I would say, as a document, it is a very powerful document. It has a lot of good things. The real challenge will be how much can we implement, and how much is the mindset of the academic leaders, teachers, students, that this policy will be implemented. That is what we need to see today. Things that are written there are so obvious in some sense that there should be no need for discussion. But I can assure you there will be a lot of discussion at a implementation level where people will be, resisting to change the way things are going. So to me, that is what is going to be the test of Indian academia. Are we willing to adjust and improve ourselves, or we want to live in a comfort zone that we are in?
So, Professor Jain, now we are almost out, hopefully, from this COVID problem which India faced, and today I'm sitting here thanks to now some kind of restrictions are now coming down. So, sir, what are the learnings we had from this particular COVID pandemic which we saw, and how do we see now next coming years, academic years and all? So, post-COVID and during COVID, that particular phase.
So, I often say that the best and the worst of human beings is seen when there is a significant change.
Yes.
So, if you want to see which of the family or relatives are the best or the worst human beings, you need to watch them during the childbirth, during weddings, and during the deaths. That is when drastic change happens. And people show their best and the worst during that time. I would say COVID has also shown the best and the worst of human beings. Right? I think that is something very precious, very valuable, that we could see which of our institutions, which of our organizations, which of our individuals did well. And I think that is something very important. Right? Having said that, I would think that it forced us in a certain direction in a very short time frame that would not have been possible under normal circumstances. For example, today the kind of use of IT tools, video conferencing facilities, things like that, the speed with which we have adopted it, I think is going to change the world in a very, very substantial way. It will have an impact. And institutions that have adapted to it well, they will go much faster. Those who have been reluctant, resistant, haven't invested, haven't made efforts, they would be obviously left behind. So that is one very important aspect. The second important aspect is that the worst is kind of behind us in some sense, or hopefully behind us, where there was a major health challenge, where there was major life and death situation, where there was economy tanking situation we were worrying about, where employment was a big concern. Slowly now things are going to come back to normal. So now our entire effort should be, how do we take advantage of this change that has happened in the world and adapt ourselves. Right? So I give a very simple example. Before pandemic, we would look at any faculty candidate. If we find that this guy is very good, we would do a video conference before pandemic. And based on that, we may either close that application or tell him or her to come and visit us as per their convenience. If they were in India, they would be able to come within a few days or weeks. If they were abroad, they may or may not come within a few days, few weeks. They may come after 3 months, 6 months. Now during pandemic, since the travel was not an option, we started to do recruitment entirely on video conference. We found that the results were much, much better. We were able to catch them quickly, because if they wait for 6 months, they might have other offers coming. Now that air travel will be allowed again and people will be mobile, IIT Gandhinagar has to learn from this experience. To say that physical visit is meaningless is incorrect. But to say that physical meaning is the critical thing because of which we cannot recruit is also proved to be incorrect based on the very high quality recruitment we have done in the last 15 months. So, all of us as organizations, as individuals, we have to see how this COVID crisis has changed the world and changed our assumptions, changed our understanding, and redesign, reconfigure our ways of working, ways of thinking in such a way to come out as winners. Before the pandemic, we used to bring faculty from US, from Japan, from Europe to come and stay here for 1 month, 2 months, teach classes. When the lockdown happened and we all moved to online classes, I one day said to my dean academic, I said, if IIT Gandhinagar faculty can teach sitting in the campus to a student sitting in Guwahati or Calcutta, why can't a professor sitting in Europe or South America teach? And I challenged them to give me at least 10 teachers from outside India to be teaching regular courses every semester. And in the process, we were able to widen the choice of courses, widen the quality of courses, widen the range of expertise of teachers, things like that. Now that has happened. Now that the COVID crisis will be over, how do you take advantage of this new situation? Where somebody sitting in Brazil is teaching you, but you still are getting visitors from Switzerland that used to come earlier. It should not happen that the visitors who used to come and make a contribution, not only by teaching the class, but also by their interactions, those are not denied. So we have to reconfigure, redesign our entire thinking. And as an institution at IIT Gandhinagar, we are fully committed to redesign, reconfigure our way of thinking.
So you have to take the benefit of that learning
Yes.
and implement that.
Yes.
Professor Jain, my last two interaction points are related to very specific to you, sir. And we have seen that you have spent decades as faculty in IIT Kanpur, one of the very prestigious institute in India. Successfully, you have been there as academician, researcher, and professor. Then you took a challenge to become the academic leader, and this is the third term as a director of IIT Gandhinagar. Today we can say we have seen this example is there. IIT Gandhinagar has come out very well. This is the second inning which you have successfully completed. As a person goes higher, sir, new inning starts, new roles, new responsibilities. I want to ask you, a person of your stature, what roles have you kept for you now in coming years? How can you contribute to the development of the education in India? Because you have very vast experience. Now the innings which you have completed previously, so the person of your stature now, where you find yourself after a couple of years, and how can you contribute in the development of the nation through your this all experience and healthy enriched experience you had?
Dr. Hakur, we perhaps have people who plan things. I haven't planned things. I have followed a rule in IIT that when I leave office in the evening, I assume that I am not coming back here tomorrow morning. I may not be coming back tomorrow morning because I may have a heart attack and I may die. I may be fired from my job. I may have an accident. And in fact, by the way, this happened. One day I walked from office to home around 8:30. I slipped and I broke my knee. And I could not come back to office for weeks and months. Right? So, in next 1 hour I was in the hospital and remained in hospital for next 1 week. So, my effort has been that every day is my last day. If that be so, what are the critical things that need to be done so that my people are not adversely affected tomorrow if I don't come? I have spent more than 12 years now at IIT Gandhinagar with that assumption that every day is my last day. And I don't know what will be in store for me tomorrow. So I'm a great believer that I cannot plan my future. I cannot imagine where I will be. I cannot say that this is what I will be or I don't want to be. But am I doing what am I supposed to do today and giving it my best? I think that is my commitment to myself and I have stuck to it. So where I will be, I really don't know. But wherever I will be, if I can remain honest to my job, I think that is enough for me. I never ask for name, fame or anything. I just did my job reasonably sincerely, and everything else
has fallen in
has
place.
fallen.
Professor Jain, now we come to an end of this beautiful session, sir, and my last question to you. I know you are a great motivator, sir. I have listened to many of your speeches. You are motivating students, you are motivating the academicians, researchers. I want you to give advice of all your this experience to the budding academicians, researchers, the people who will matter in future, who will be heading the institutes in future, and the students, prospective students. So your advice and piece of advice and some points from your side to all such people.
I would say teaching is one profession which one should not take up as a job. One should not take up because this job will give you money and it is more comfortable than the other job, or it is more money than the other job. You should take teaching because you are excited about teaching. You are excited about young people. You are excited about building their lives, building their careers, building their future. If you are in teaching with that as a objective, you will have great time. You will enjoy your work. You will also earn money. You will also get name, fame, and everything else that people might aspire for. But if you're coming to teaching because of reasons other than you liking teaching, I think you will be disappointed. When you look in the eyes of your students whom you are teaching, you know whether they are respecting you or they are not respecting you. If day in and day out you are teaching students who don't respect you, how can you have a good self-esteem? How can you have a good healthy lifestyle? How can you be happy? So, my contention is that as a teacher, you are here because you want your students to do well. You want to contribute to their well-being and welfare. And if you do that, your own well-being and welfare will be taken care of. That is what is my message to aspiring teachers, aspiring researchers. If you are in a laboratory because you are excited about science, you will do well. But if you are there because there is a salary coming from it, then you will be not so happy. This is not so with many other professions. This is not so with many other jobs. But with teaching and research, I think it is very much so. So that is the message that I would give to young colleagues who are thinking about their career, whether they want to be teachers or they want to be researchers, things like that. To the students, I would say that it does not matter whether you go to top ranked university, whether you go to medium ranked university. You will see top ranked university, many graduates do very poorly in life. You will see mediocre university, many students do extremely well in life. It is up to you what you make of your life. Take yourself seriously. Spend your time well. Time well in not only learning and getting good marks, but learning about life, learning about managing yourselves, managing life, building good attitude, building good body, building good health. Think about the fact that these years are not coming back to you. And you must make good use of this time for your own growth. Invest on your own growth as an individual. If you do that, I think it will be a very solid foundation for the rest of your life, which you will benefit from.
Professor Jain, IIT Gandhinagar, I know, is very generous and it provides the scholarships to the students. I want to ask you, sir, do we have some kind of such grant? Fee structure is very costly nowadays for students in graduation, post-graduation. So, do you have some kind of grants or scholarships for students, and do we give that?
See, we have a policy at IIT Kanpur that once any student is admitted to the institute, we will take responsibility to support them to any extent that they need support. And that includes not only support in academics, support in medical, physical health, mental health, but it also includes financial help.
Okay.
Recently, one of the head of the institution was sitting with me and I showed him our new office order on the student well-being. And he was intrigued because it said financial well-being. He said, what do you mean by financial well-being? I said, if a student is my student, I don't want that student to be handicapped because of financial reasons which will affect his studies. It means that institute will do everything that is needed to make that student comfortable. It may mean we may give them scholarship, we may give them financial aid, we can give them grant, we can give them loan, we can give them loan that they will graduate, they will return without interest after graduation. Or it may be a loan because temporarily there is a problem of fund flow from their parents, which they will return after 3 months or 6 months without any interest. We will look after every student. And I can give you one extreme example that happened some years back, where a student who joined us, see there are certain government scholarships, there are certain government fee waivers that every IIT follows, that we also follow. But we want to go way beyond, because if this country of 130 crore people is throwing the best 12,000 students into the IIT system, out of which about 250 are coming to IIT Gandhinagar, we want these 250 very precious people to be looked after. So, some years back there was a student who came to Prof Jain, our dean of student, and said, I have an artificial leg that needs to be replaced, it is causing me pain. And he brought an invoice about 1 lakh rupees. And we said, all right, we approved 1 lakh rupees, changed the leg. By the time the student was in 4th year, he again went to Prof Jain and he said, my artificial leg that I changed 3 years back, 4 years back is now causing me pain, and I have gone to the specialist and he's saying you need to change the artificial leg. And here is an invoice of 2 lakh rupees. We only made sure that he actually needed the second change. We sent him to an orthopedic surgeon to make sure that he is getting right advice, right guidance. And once the orthopedic surgeon confirmed that yes, this boy needs to change his artificial leg second time, we gave him 2 lakh rupees. So my contention today is that IIT Gandhinagar is possibly the most generous institution in looking after its students' well-being, and that includes financial well-being. We will take care of any student to any extent and make sure that they do well in life and they do well as students.
Okay. But Professor Jain, from where these funds come? You mentioned that there are government schemes which is common for all the IITs. So where does IIT Gandhinagar make difference? From where these funds come?
See, a lot of it is raised by donations.
Okay.
So this is very interesting situation that has now emerged at IIT Kanpur, where because we treated our students well, when they graduate, they now come back and give donations to IIT Kanpur to support younger students, junior students. So if you see, I can challenge 55% of the graduates of IIT Kanpur have made a donation in 2020-21. Now, why has that happened? Because those students are so happy with IIT Gandhinagar's treatment and experience. They want junior students to continue to experience that generosity. So we have donations coming from our alumni, we have donations from other well-wishers, a lot of scholarships have been set up by donations by our alumni as well as by our well-wishers. So I would say today that we are quite comfortable in making an offer to any student who has financially hardship to join us, and we will look after them.
Okay. So Professor Jain, nowadays the fee structure has gone up. IITs have increased the fees, and there are so many students. India is a very vast country. There are so many students who do really good in JEE exam, one of the toughest exam in the nation. They do really good, sir, but then they are not in position to pay their 8 lakh, 7 lakh of the fees, and because of that they always have this second thinking, or they are under stressful situation. Does IIT Gandhinagar offer some kind of scholarship or grants or some kind of loan to such students, meritorious students? Do we have something like that?
So other than, the description that I gave you earlier was based primarily on financial health of the family.
Yes.
We also have donations from a well-wisher of the institute, where any student whose JEE rank, advanced JEE rank, is within 1,000,
okay,
better than 1,000.
Okay.
We will guarantee all their tuition scholarship, all their tuition every year for next 4 years.
So that means entire money
will
be spent by
taken care of by our very generous donor,
okay.
who said that anybody who is top 1000 ranker, their tuition fee of 2 lakh rupees per year, over 4 years it becomes 8 lakh rupees, is given by that donor and it is totally covered.
Who are alumni of IIT?
He is not an alumni of IIT, he is a much senior person, but he is a well-wisher of the institute and he has done that. If we don't find people under 1000, then we still are able to give several students who are top JEE rankers who join IIT Kanpur full tuition fee waiver for 4 years. So I would say we are very comfortable in looking after the students both on merit of very high JEE rank as well as those who need financial help because of the family circumstances.
So Professor Jain, if some meritorious students, let's say you said 1000 rank, joins IIT Gandhinagar, one thing will come to his mind is like, maybe I'm getting old IITs, I'm going to IIT Gandhinagar for the money, or maybe for 8 lakh I can't spend now, which I can take loan from the banks or something. Will I be compromising with my placements or career in any way? That will be very pertinent.
I think that is a very solid question, very valid question. I would say that the experience that IIT Gandhinagar will give to any BTech student is very, very superior than any institution in the country. Not only in classes, not only the outstanding teaching that we do in classes, but also in preparing them for life, which will be reflected in better placement, which will be reflected in better career, which will be reflected not only in their first job, but which will be reflected in the next 40 years. So regardless of the JEE rank, if you join IIT Gandhinagar, we guarantee you to give you the best possible experience at IIT Gandhinagar in education, curriculum as well as outside the curriculum, on the playground, on the social activities, on interaction with other people. You will be safe, you will be comfortable, you will have healthy food, good quality life, medical attention, counseling service. We have very, very robust systems to look after students.
Okay. So Professor Jain, I understand like every institute would like to have meritorious students in the campus, and IIT Gandhinagar is also doing the same. So do we have any limit? Let's say more students feel interested to join IIT Gandhinagar and avail these kind of scholarships. Do we have some number?
No scholarships. If I get 100 students in top 1000 ranks, we will guarantee all of them 2 lakh rupees per year tuition scholarship for next 4 years.
So that can be done?
That can be done.
Okay, great.
We have enough financial support available from our well-wishers. We will take care of it.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir. So Professor Jain, we come to an end of this session, sir, and let me thank you for sparing time from your very busy schedule and giving sufficient time to answer all my interaction points, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur. Enjoyed talking to you. Lovely.
Okay, wish you all the very best, sir, and good health.
Thank you.